beautiful double award-winning downtown Denison, Texas, for our city council meeting for Monday, August the 17th, 2026. At this time, I would invite Jacob Nichols, pastor of St. Luke's Episcopal Church, for our invocation, to be followed by Amanda Parsons, Director of Parks and Recreation, for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Nichols.
Let us pray. Almighty God, send down upon those who hold office in this city the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, everyone. And at this time, we come to item 2 on our agenda, and this is a proclamation for International Boxing Day, and I'd invite Andre Looper to meet me at the podium.
Hey, good evening, council.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, you speaking first? I get a little excited. No, come on. Okay. All right. Listen. I just first of all, I want to give thanks to God for giving me this opportunity, man. I just want to see the great city of Denison understand that this is a special moment for me. And I'm real. It's real. It's more special than people can actually imagine, because when I started building the camp, man, believe it or not, everybody loved my business plan, but everybody didn't give me that opportunity I want to. I want y'all to know, to see that Denison is where it started. The camp started in the city of Denison. It was y'all that came together as leaders that gave me the opportunity to do what I do for the youth. Everybody that know me, I'm real big on building the youth in the community. And it's important to me, to teach the youth who y'all are and what y'all do. Because, a lot of kids don't know, and I believe it's our great responsibility as men and women to come together and give the kids the tools that they need to survive in the world. So they need to know who y'all leaders are and what y'all jobs are and what y'all do and how y'all play the role in the city of Denison. This is a great city. I have family here, and man, I love y'all, and I want y'all to know I appreciate, and we appreciate, me and my camp family, we appreciate everything that y'all have done.
Clubs, families, and supporters who continue to the sport of boxing around the world, and whereas boxing provides young people with positive mentorship, structured training, healthy opportunities, and important life skills that extend beyond the ring, and whereas the camp, founded by coach and United States military veteran Andre Looper, has become a premier boxing organization serving Denison and the greater Texoma area. And whereas the camp has trained and developed numerous young athletes while emphasizing discipline, confidence, leadership, accountability, and academic and personal success. And whereas Andre Looper and the camp have made a lasting impact by mentoring at-risk youth, addressing bullying, encouraging community involvement, and providing young people with positive role models and a safe place to grow. And whereas the city of Denison proudly recognizes the camp for strengthening our community and bringing positive recognition to Denison through its athletes, its programs, competitions, and community outreach. Now, therefore, hereby proclaim August 27th as International Boxing Day in the city of Denison and encourage all citizens to recognize the positive contribution of the sport of boxing. The city of Denison proudly honors the camp and founder Andre Looper for their outstanding commitment to developing young athletes, mentoring at-risk youth, and building stronger futures throughout Denison and the Texoma region. We thank you very much for your efforts and thank you for mentoring and guiding these young youth. Thank you, sir. All right.
Hey, on behalf, where you going? Come on. Hey, so our proclamation to the city of Denison and the Mayor Crowley, man, he really supported me. You know, we talked on the phone a few times, man. Him and Miss Teresa, man, y'all great people, man. So the proclamation I want to give to you from the camp is I want to award you and the city council with a belt because as a certified USA boxing official, I am certified on behalf of the camp to give the city of Denison this belt right here. And by the way, on behalf of my biggest supporter, y'all, Tracy Realtor right here in Denison, they are my biggest supporters. And so this is our proclamation to the city of Denison.
Thank you.
There you go.
We gratefully accept this, Andre, and we wish you much success, and we thank you for all you do for all of our kids. Thank you.
One second. We're not done yet. All right. So listen, we also got a set of gloves right here that I'm going to have my team design, and I will get it back to y'all later. But we also want y'all. So I want y'all to put this up in y'all chamber. If it's like the judge's chamber, put it up in y'all chamber or whatever. I want y'all to always remember us. And, you know, next time we have our show, it'll be at Grayson College. I need to see y'all there. All right.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
You gotta wear it on
Yeah, I
your
was
shoulder.
gonna say, you gotta wear it now.
Or at least put it up here, you know, so that way we can see it.
One big woo when you do it.
I'm telling you, this is heavy. I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna have to work out with you. Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for being here and being a part of this proclamation and this recognition for the club and Mr. Looper. Thank you so much. It's now time for item number 3 on our agenda, public comments. Citizens may speak on action items listed on Agenda A. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk upon arrival. And feel free to leave if you've completed your evening with us. And prior to the council reaching this public comment section of the agenda, citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Comments related to public hearings listed below, if any, will be heard when that specific hearing occurs. Madam Clerk, have we any cards?
No, sir.
No cards. We'll move forward. Move to item number 4, the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anyone requests to be handled individually? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Redwine, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now we move to item number 5, public hearings, and invite Ms. Diane York up, and we're going to receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct a public hearing on an ordinance for a conditional use permit to allow for a warehouse office for the property located at 3101 Woodlawn Boulevard. Welcome, Ms. York.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only item I have for you tonight is a request for a conditional use permit. to allow for that warehouse office use at this property at 3101 South Woodlawn Boulevard. The subject property is zoned commercial, and it has been developed in a non-residential manner. I believe this was Trailblazer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I get Blue Cross Blue Shield Trailblazer confused sometimes. The existing structure consists of approximately 74,000 square feet, and it was previously used as a call center. Over the course of several years, the structure has remained in minor operation, housing products to be sold online. The applicant today wishes to repurpose the structure as a multi-tenant warehouse office facility. They envision dividing the structure up into several suites to accommodate small businesses, contractors, skilled trade operations, and home improvement-related showroom tenants. Their project narrative does detail some hours of operation, and those consist of Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., with potential hours on Saturday, depending on the tenant type. As you can see from this aerial view, the existing parking lot provides more than enough parking for the proposed use. In our pre-development meeting with the applicant and then through the review of their conditional use permit zoning submittal, staff have expressed the desire to improve the visual aesthetics of the property by including landscaping that meets the minimum requirements found in section 28.51, which is the landscape ordinance. The applicant is amenable to this and will be submitting a landscape plan with their building permit or before the building permit for the remodel of the structure. And this plan, at minimum, will include landscape strips along Woodlawn Boulevard and tree islands within the parking lot. Staff does ask that the City Council consider creating a condition of this permit requiring an improved landscape plan. Through the review of the property, staff did discover that the property has not been platted, even though it's developed. This does pose a concern as the property is located between 3 rights-of-ways. So you have Maurice Avenue to the west, Seymour Street to the north, and then obviously Woodlawn Boulevard to the east. Staff has asked the applicant to move forward with platting the property so that appropriate right-of-way dedication can be established, along with establishing any necessary fire lanes and utility easements. This is also a request of staff for that council consider making the requirement for the final plat application be a condition of this permit. The property is adjacent to residential zoning. Don't get dizzy. There is some residential zoning to the north and to the west of the property. Per section 28.53, which is our screening section of our zoning ordinance, non-residential developments shall be screened from residential zoning. Staff is going to review the proposed screening of the property once the plat is received. Those right-of-ways, it's kind of hard to see from this aerial, but the building is built already in a non-conforming manner, that it was built on a non-platted lot, but additionally there's some right-of-way that it could be encroaching on. And so instead of requiring that screening or having an idea of what that screening looks like right now, we would like to take a look at the plat and see how those right-of-ways affect the existing structure, and then we'll work through screening with the applicant. Lastly, the applicant must work with the engineering staff to ensure appropriate improvements are made to Seymour and Maurice Avenue. A traffic impact analysis is required as the property is adjacent to a TxDOT right-of-way. Woodlawn Boulevard is State Highway 91. And it is possible improvements may be established within the analysis, requiring improvements in order to mitigate traffic. We don't anticipate any traffic concerns, but it's possible that TIA may speak to something different. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a mixed commercial manner, and it does fall within a revitalization area. The proposed use does meet the definition of mixed commercial, and the improvements that the applicant is proposing meet the intent of that revitalization area that's found within the comp plan. Staff recommends approval of the proposed conditional use permit with the following conditions that you can see on the screen. They're also in the report. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approval with the conditions at their meeting held on August 11th. I'm present for any questions that you may have, and the applicant is here if you have questions for them.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Ms. York? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or against this item on the agenda, agenda item 5A? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Back to council. Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve an ordinance for conditional use permit, CUP, for the use of a warehouse/office for the subject property with the following conditions. A landscape plan meeting the standards found within section 28.51 be submitted to planning staff for review and approval at the time of the building permit. And the applicant submits a final plat application to planning staff to be reviewed and approved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. On agenda item 6, item A, Kirk Kern, please come forward. We're going to receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on an ordinance amending Chapter 5 of the Buildings and Building Regulations of the Denison Code of Ordinances. Thank you all for coming. And to provide for the adoption of local amendments to the National Fire Protection Association National Electric Code 2026 edition. Mr. Kirk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. At a conference, I heard a quote that stuck with me, and it'll mean more tonight. People don't think about safety because they think someone else has thought about it already. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here. In many ways, this is exactly what building and electrical codes are about. When someone walks into their home, turns on the light, plugs something to an outlet, or sends their children to school, they generally don't stop to think about whether the electrical system behind the walls is safe. They assume somebody has already thought about it, somebody being us. As a city, we are one of the groups entrusted with making sure everything is safe for electrical. Tonight, staff is recommending adoption of the 2026 National Electrical Code, or NEC for short, with the effective date of September 1st, 2026. I think it's first important to explain that these codes are not created by a small group of people sitting in a room deciding what requirements they want to impose on cities or contractors. The National Electrical Code goes through an extensive public development process. Anyone can participate in that process. Electricians, engineers, inspectors, manufacturers, contractors, fire officials, building officials, and members of the general public can propose changes, submit comments, support or oppose proposed requirements, and have their position considered as part of the process. The approximate 300 employees of the National Fire Prevention Association are the only ones prohibited from submitting public inputs or comments. The people administrating the process don't get to write the rules themselves. The process is intentionally designed to allow the public and the professionals who actually use these standards to have a voice. After that extensive process, the state of Texas also reviews the electrical code before deciding whether to adopt it. On July 28th, the Texas Commission of Licensing and Regulation voted unanimously to adopt the 2026 NEC statewide effective September 1st, 2026 for all non-exempt electrical work. The state did not simply adopt everything without consideration. As part of that action, the Commission approved the Texas Amendment Section 210.8F concerning GFCI protection for outdoor dwelling HVAC outlets. I think that's worth pointing out because it demonstrates that there are multiple levels of review and changes to be made when a requirement is determined not to be appropriate for Texas. Beginning September 1st, licensed electricians throughout Texas will be required to perform non-exempt electrical work in accordance with the state-adopted 2026 NEC. That applies whether the work is inside a municipality or outside city limits. State electrical license examinations will also transition to the 2026 NEC on that date. By adopting the 2026 NEC locally, we are keeping our ordinance, our inspectors, our contractors, and the state of Texas working from the same code. We have also included the North Central Texas Council of Governments regional amendments. These amendments have been reviewed for our region and help provide consistency between jurisdictions throughout North Texas. Staff has made significant effort to make sure our electrical contractors know this change is coming. We sent notices to all 368 electrical contractors registered within the city of Denison. These notices included information on the adoption, the regional amendments, and significant changes they should be aware of with this adoption. Myself and one of our inspectors also attended a class this past Saturday at the Independent Electrical Contractors Fort Worth facility covering the 2026 NEC updates. Most of the changes involve formatting, relocating sections, updating acronyms and definitions, and refined language rather than new requirements. We have also posted the proposed adoption amendments and a list of significant changes on the city's website so the contractors, members of the public, have an opportunity to review them before the September 1st date. Ultimately, electrical codes are about requirements that most people will hopefully never have to think about. They are about preventing the electrical fire that never happens, preventing the shock that never occurs, and making sure electrical systems we approve today continue safely in our homes and businesses for decades. Going back to that quote, people don't think about safety because they think someone else has thought about it already. In this case, a tremendous number of people have thought about it. The code has gone through a national public process. It has been reviewed and unanimously adopted by the state of Texas. Our regional amendments have been considered, and we have notified our local electrical contractors of the upcoming changes. Our responsibility now is to make sure Denison remains aligned with those standards. For these reasons, staff recommends approval of the ordinance adopting the 2026 National Electrical Code and associated regional amendments effective September 1st, 2026. I'm present for any questions you may have.
All right, thank you.
I will, on these are just some of the actual new changes. Like I said, most of them are verbiage or shortening sections up. The last four are the actual changes. So they expand GFCI protection near swimming pools to prevent electrical shock. We added an amendment. We're actually already doing this. We have a documentation that people have already been following on our previous adoption of the 24 codes back in January. And then surge protection is now required for emergency responder sleeping areas. Previously, it was exempt for whatever reason, but they have now determined that that's a life safety issue. And then marking arc flashing, it has to be applied to all feeder equipment. Previously, it was only feeder equipment over 1,000 volts. Now, anything that has a potential to arc flash has to be labeled.
All right, thank you. Questions for Mr. Kern?
I think that's a good statement. People don't think about safety because they assume somebody else did. A couple weeks ago, I had a ceiling fan almost come crashing down in my living room because it was a junction box that wasn't rated for ceiling fans. It was a plastic junction box. I didn't know it was up there. And I just assumed it was the right one. And so, but no, that's good. Thank you for that, Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. This is an item for individual consideration. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve amending Chapter 5, Building and Building Regulations of the Denison Code of Ordinances to provide for the adoption of local amendments to the National Fire Protection Association National Electrical Code 2026 edition.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams, a second by Councilman Massey. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now we move to item B, to Ms. Lori Alsablog. If we're going to talk about and consider adopting a resolution directing the publication of notice of intent to issue combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation. Ms.
Yes,
Alsablog,
good evening.
welcome.
Yes, I am here to to request approval of a resolution to publish notice of intent to issue combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, referred to as Series 2026C. The series will provide $20 million in construction funds to support water and sewer capital projects for the fiscal year 27 CIP plan. We typically don't kick off our issuance this early in the year, but we typically bring this to council in January, but projects are moving quickly and we need the funding this fall, so we are a few months ahead of the game. Notices of intent will be published on our website and in the newspaper on Saturday, August 22nd and Saturday, August the 29th. And approval of the ordinance to authorize the issuance will come before council on October the 19th. Funding, closing and delivery of funds will be November 19th. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Any questions from council? If not, is there a motion?
Mayor.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Mayor, I move to approve a resolution authorizing the issuance of the combination tax and surplus revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2026C, approving and authorizing instruments and procedures relating to said certificates and enacting other provisions related to the subject. I second.
Who was second? Spence, okay. Motion by Councilman Massey, second by Councilman Redwine. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now moving to item C, John Phillips, if you would join us, please. Going to receive, report, hold discussion, and take action on an ordinance amending Chapter 20 of solid waste, Sections 20-1 through 20-18, City of Denison. Welcome.
Good evening,
Yes, sir.
Mayor and Council. Tonight I'd like to present the proposed updates to the solid waste ordinance. These would be affecting Chapter 20, Sections 1 through 18. Most of these updates are going to be minor in nature, but we have worked with the City Clerk's office to review these and make the appropriate updates. One example of an update would be updating the plastic accepted recycling materials. That's just an update based on the resin identification codes. This reflects what our current vendor, Republic Waste Services, collects. So that's one example. We also revised the minimum clearance that we need for the residential trash carts or recycling carts that would be placed next to structures such as a mailbox or a vehicle. We revised that from 3 feet to 5 feet. That's just in protection of people's property and for the operations of solid waste. We also placed information in to have the storage of the polycarts after they're serviced to be placed in an area that would be screened or not visible from the road. This is something that I think would help our code enforcement division as well. We've also simplified the sizing of the bulk and brush to help with residents when they're asking questions on what is the allowed 3 cubic feet. And we've also removed the weight limits on there. These items are not being picked up by hand. They're, a machine is picking them up, so we thought it was appropriate to remove the weight limit on that. We've also added some language to the ordinance regarding the downtown district's shared dumpster policy. There have been a lot of questions regarding that over the last year plus with some of the new businesses that are moving in, so we thought it was appropriate to update that language in there to provide clarity. And we have also updated the third-party hauling. Let me back up. Some of our commercial customers or industrial customers, they have waste that needs to be hauled that we, the city, are not the appropriate disposal service for that. So based on what the material is, they can seek approval from our Public Works Director to have a third party haul that waste for proper disposal. And the requirement on that is to have the third party that's going to be hauling that waste to get an annual hazardous waste hauler's permit. It's a $50 fee, and that would help us to know where this is being disposed of and how it's being disposed of properly. We also went through with the city clerk's office to review the language in the ordinance to support that the city of Denison is the sole purveyor of solid waste. And we also added some language in for enforcement on illegal dumpsters that are being placed within the city. We've had some issues with that recently, so we wanted to beef that up a little bit. But that is an overview of the updates that I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, sir. Questions from council?
What's considered an illegal dumpster?
So this would be a third-party roll-off or a third-party dumpster that is placed within the city limits. We've had, competing, solid waste companies that have placed those in town, and the city of Denison is the sole hauler of.
Of course, the question is, if you're a owner of a company or an owner of a roll-off, is that considered illegal at this point with this adoption?
Yes, it just beefs up that category. But we we've also had that in place before. And Public Works works with code enforcement to enforce that.
Any other questions, comments?
My understanding is if you own the property that you were working on, you were allowed to have your own haul-off on that one. Do I misunderstand that?
So there are some exemptions that could be in place, such as if you have a roof being replaced. You know, you can reach out to Public Works and you can ask for an exemption to have the roofing company haul that waste off. But anything else on the property, if it's something that's commercial waste, that's what the city of Denison would be the sole hauler of that waste.
Any other questions on that? So do I understand now that we have cameras on the trucks?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, so if the carts aren't out at a residential in time, we have the ability to go back around, but to be able to
Yes,
point
sir.
to that consumer?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
The enhanced residential screen wall, what is the expectation there? I know what it said, but if you could elaborate on that.
So the expectation is to place the dumpster the residential cart behind a screening wall just to keep it, from being visible by the road, or you could put it in your backyard or maybe in your garage. But the intent is to screen that from the visibility from the road.
I am a big fan of a beautiful city, but I'm also not a big fan of having the smell of my own garbage in my own garage.
Yes, sir.
And I'll take a minute to brag on some of your folks. The network services guy I rode around with Novardo, and what a compassionate human being for the job he's got to really enforce our codes. So I appreciate that we have employees like that. But to watch the destitution that some of our citizens are in and their inability to maintain their own properties and our funding sources from grants that are necessary to help improve them for their quality of life, this, although something I would like to have, seems like it may be an undue burden for some of our citizens. Does the city have a plan for how we don't have to dip into those funds that we're already using for quality of life in order to accomplish an aesthetic?
I do not have an answer for that at this moment, sir, but I can talk with our Public Works Director.
You got citizen feedback for the downtown dumpster sharing, et cetera. Were these other policies, were citizen feedback sought?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, Mr. Phillips, thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
This is an action item. Is there a motion on item 6C?
Go ahead. You seemed like you were hesitant or reticent on something.
I would
hear your
like
thoughts.
to know more of the verbiage for the ordinance regarding a residential roll-off that belongs to the owner of the property, and the roll-off belongs to the owner as well. That way I can just have better clarification over it, just based off what the verbiage says of it.
So the intent is that if you own the property and you're doing some remodeling yourself and you're using your own trailer, then that's completely acceptable.
Okay. And is that for homesteaded or investment properties or?
It's for anybody.
Okay, okay.
If it's you doing the work and it's your trailer and your property, then you're more than welcome to do that.
So, and that includes roll-offs?
Not the roll-offs.
Not the roll-offs, okay. And so did the previous verbiage also exclude that?
It did, but we made it a habit to just allow that to happen.
Okay.
We didn't cite them or ask code to go visit them. We let them do that because it's their own waste.
Yeah.
I mean, they could take it to the RCS and that kind of stuff.
I think what you're hunting at is, does somebody get grandfathered in because they already have them, or did you just shut a business down?
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I think also, I know that there's been ways to circumvent and go around having to just use the city's, residential or just roll-offs in general. I think for me, just understanding the city is in a position where we own this in our city limits, and nobody else can come in. And I just want to make sure that that's something from even a legal standpoint that we can still make sure that we can, if we're going to outlaw or we're going to ban that in general, that it is something that is allowed and we don't have to worry about a civil suit later on.
Yes, sir, because of the public safety concern with solid waste and solid waste collection, state law specifically allows cities to either be or to allow a third party to be an exclusive service provider.
There's a lot of cities that I deal with that there's a primary, and then in adverse circumstances, you're allowed to have a waiver and hire somebody else. So if an ice storm hits, the city can't service it, but somebody's brave enough to bring it to you, you can have it. I think your point, though, is if somebody has a business that already has assets in place and invested in it, and I think your answer is that was illegal when they did it, we have been giving grace, and now we are upholding the rule as it sits already. So they made a bad business choice, is what I'm basically hearing. Ultimately, the root issue is if the city controls the solid waste, it's a public safety positive, and the more waste we send to the system that we have buy-in to, the lower the potential cost per the consumers on a unit-by-unit basis.
Yes, sir. Okay. I would like to also throw out that one of the things we've seen with some of the court cases that have come up through our city's court, a lot of people say, for instance, our smallest dumpster is a 20-yard dumpster, and I believe that's $580-something, which is too expensive if you're doing just a small maintenance thing. And where we're seeing a lot of the people that are like trying to push the limit is they get those dump bed trailers in. So now we've started purchasing dump bed trailers, and now we have I think it's like 100, we're going to look at 100, it's in the fee schedule that we're going to be presenting, but it's like $120, $150 versus doing a $580. So we're giving some other options as well. The other thing that we did with this is we put a lot of areas in there, like under special circumstances, you can ask for, a special, permit or a person, something to allow you to be able to do something. So there's some give and take on that. We just didn't want to just lock everything down extremely tight.
Okay. Good deal.
While I've got you, can I ask you about the screen wall? I understand if we make that ordinance now, then any new builder has to do something that would allow it in their construction, which is a pass-through cost to the consumer, and it's nominal at best. Are you willing to accept the same level of grace on the screen wall for citizenry on the residential side as we adopt this to make sure that people have time to put that into their budgets?
We're not asking for like a brick wall, like in the businesses where they put the big brick wall with the gates and everything. We're not asking for that. It can be like behind a little fence. It doesn't have to be a fence that goes solid all the way, wooden fence. You just put a little picket, just to cover it up so it looks a little better. A lot of times what we're seeing is the kids probably that took the trash out didn't put the lid down, and now there's stuff all over the place, and we're just kind of trying to make that look a little better.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, we're on item 6C. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 20 Solid Waste, Sections 20-1 through 20-18 of the City of Denison Code of Ordinance as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Massey, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're down to item 6D. Mr. Phillips, welcome back.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to present to you the 2026 street program. We're going to be doing if approved, we're going to be doing the overlay project. And this year we have put together 18 locations. And to put this together, we reference back to the 2024 IMS street assessment survey. that, comprehensive inspection of the roadways, and we looked at the PCI scores, which is the Pavement Condition Index, and we tried to look through and create a list of the roads that would, number one, it would maximize the benefit to the residents, but also we tried to target some of our thoroughfares that would also be an added benefit to the residents. So as you can see here, this year we were budgeted for $925,000, and once we when we presented the overlay project to the Streets Committee, we had some discussions in there to add a few additional roadways, and there was also an agreement to add extra funding from the ICIC. So that's where you can see that it brought everything up to $1.125 million. So we got our quote back from Area Wide Paving. This is the contractor we've been using for the last 3 years. And we, so we have the 18 different locations that are selected. You'll see them highlighted in the blue. And this represents roughly 3 miles worth of paving in the city. And we adjusted that list after the Streets Committee when we added a few more of the roadways that they had brought up to us. So this is the final map of all the locations that we're targeting. And let's see. This is a Bullock and Woodlawn is an intersection that we did pave earlier in this year after we had the snow and ice event in January. When we were clearing the roadways of that snow and ice, we really had some issues with this intersection. This was an intersection that was pretty rough in the first place. I know we got a lot of comments from residents. So after we cleared everything for the snow and ice, this was one that we knew we needed to hurry up and get repaved. So this is an expense that's already happened out of that original budget. And
Thank you for that, by the way. I drive over that about a half dozen times a day. It's amazing.
Yes, sir. We've had a lot of feedback from the residents on that. So here is the TIPS, this is the contract or quoted contract under the TIPS contract from Area Wide Paving. This is $976,553. And the previous slide where we had Woodlawn and Bullock, that was roughly $49,000, so that's part of the expense. And the extra amount that's left over, we were planning to use that for in-house crews, street paving materials with some of our new equipment to pave some smaller areas to have a benefit to the community. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council?
I saw at the bottom of that quote, it said cracks aren't covered. What type of warranties included in this? I know I've witnessed some overlays, especially out near the college where TxDOT redid 691, and within a week there was like some dips in the area. So what kind of warranty does this company provide?
So to help combat that, the cracks that could be created, the contractor is going to be doing concrete stabilization. They can't do it on every one of the roads that we selected because Houston, there's concrete under that. That's used to be a TxDOT roadway. So the other roads, like say Loy Lake, they're going to be doing concrete stabilization to help stabilize the subgrade. So once they pave that, typically you're not going to see cracks. It doesn't mean that there won't be, but if we do start developing any cracks, then we'll use our in-house crews to crack seal and to try to preserve the pavement.
But there's no warranty, I guess, on their service, though.
Any issues other than cracks, they will warranty it up to 6 months.
Edge milling is when you grind it down and harvest to recycle the asphalt on top?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And to help tie it in with the existing grades of the curb and gutter.
Oh, yeah, so we're not going to consume curb and gutter height by adding an overlay?
That's correct, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments from council? All right. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
For item 6D, concerning the area-wide paving contract, is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the purchase of street overlay services in the amount of $976,553 from Area Wide Paving LLC and authorize the interim city manager to execute any associated documents.
I second.
Have a motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Redwine. Any other questions or comments? Not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving now to item number 7 on our agenda, project updates. Ms. Starr, if you could come forward, we'll look forward to your report regarding hotel motel tax and the code of ordinances. Welcome, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Crowley and council members. So I am presenting a proposed amendment to Chapter 24 Taxation, Article 3 for hotel occupancy taxes in the Code of Ordinances. So this proposed amendment would change our current collection process for hotel occupancy taxes. So the current collection process at this time is that we contract with Avenue, which is a third-party company that we use for hotel and short-term rental monitoring, compliance, and tax administration. So with this, individual STR operators are responsible for collecting and remitting the city's 7% hotel occupancy tax. So the operators report and submit payments through Avenue. And because of this, the city cannot currently confirm the overall compliance rate among STR properties. So with the proposed platform collection process, Airbnb and VRBO would automatically collect the city's 7% hotel occupancy tax at the time of booking from the hotel operators. So taxes would be collected for all eligible properties using those platforms within city limits and our ETJ. The platforms would remit one monthly payment to the city covering hotel occupancy tax collected from all applicable properties, and then property owners would no longer be responsible for individually remitting taxes on bookings made through these platforms. So with the proposed amendments, we will add new language for short-term rental platforms. So now a short-term rental platform will be defined within the ordinance, and then it'll also authorize short-term rental platforms to collect and remit the City of Denison hotel occupancy tax on behalf of property owners for bookings facilitated through their platforms. It also clarifies that if a platform fails to collect or remit the tax, the property owner remains responsible for payment while reserving the city's ability to pursue collection from either the platform or the property owner without recovering the same tax twice. And then it also extends applicable enforcement provisions to short-term rental platforms. So the implementation and compliance, the platforms have requested a 90-day implementation period following adoption of the ordinance. So if we add this ordinance to a future agenda, the 90-day period from September 8th agenda would be the implementation would start around January 1st of 2027. Platform-based collection is expected to provide full compliance for properties booking through Airbnb and Vrbo, and then owners would remain responsible for taxes associated with bookings made outside of these two participating platforms. So at this time, those are the only two platforms that we've had contact with. So Airbnb and Vrbo for collection. We are trying to reach out to other platforms such as Booking.com or Hotels.com to let them know that we plan to hopefully have this ordinance passed in the future, and so that they can help us with collecting those taxes as well. So at this time, we estimate around 52 of our active properties that collect short-term rental tax are compliant. And we have looked at Airbnb and Vrbo, and we estimate that about 130 properties exist between the two platforms. So based on that, we are at 40% compliance for tax collection. And we average about $7,000 in STR collections a month at this rate. And then with the ordinance passing, this would get us up to 100% compliance between the two platforms, which would be closer to about $17,500 each month. So, for instance, in the last 9 months, without this ordinance, we have lost about $94,500 in hotel occupancy tax just from short-term rentals. So, this would also help with overall compliance, and it would make it easier for our staff to manage compliance and monitoring STRs, as well as make it fair for all current property owners that do short-term rental taxes, because now, no matter what, if a new Airbnb or Vrbo would be added to the city limits, they automatically have that booking fee added with it. So everybody will be compliant upon implementation, which makes it better for the city staff that have to monitor compliance, and then makes it fair across the board. And I'm here for any questions.
If you can do me one favor, before I get calls that we've got another $126,000 in the budget to fix potholes, would you mind putting on the record what we use those hotel taxes for? Because I think a lot of people don't know.
Yes, so the majority of the funds go to advertising and promoting the city as a destination. So we use the tax collected to then promote the city to people that would then come and spend the night. So it's kind of just a circle, but that's how the funds are used, or for advertising and promoting Denison.
And our Arts Council gets a big chunk of
yes,
that, and
and
so
Arts
all of
Council
our
gets
Main Street stuff and artwork installations and.
So Arts Council gets 14%, and then they use that for their special events and programming.
The Ike Hike, I think, was one of the things that was partially funded by grants from either the Arts Council or directly from CVB.
So we do offer tourism grants. That is about, I'd say, like anywhere from 5 to 10% of our budget, and that goes to special events and restoration projects that, again, benefit tourism and promote the city as an overall destination.
And all of those tranches of capital that come out of this are specifically outlined by the state of Texas. So
right.
Once you get the money, it is spendable in the city of Denison for
yes.
Denison.
Yes.
But not potholes.
Not potholes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Has the hot tax always been placed on properties in the ETJ?
I am not sure of that
The reason
answer,
why I asked,
but I can.
I asked because I know that sales tax, this is one of the things that was the hot topic. I know our county had proposed to place sales tax on purchases in the ETJ because if you buy something on Amazon, you know, it's 6.25% if you live in the ETJ versus in city limits. And you know, I think that's the reason why I ask. I'm like, you know, if it's not taxed on this side of things, like, what is, and it might be a legal question, you know, like what is the, I guess the allowance on that, if it's possible, and how have we historically managed that?
I am not familiar with the historical application in the ETJ. Sorry. Happy to find out.
I'm just curious, you know, because I think just considering the way that the sales tax revenue works right now, like we don't get taxes on any property or any business that's outside of the ETJ on that end of it. So that's the reason why I just wanted to know kind of how that works from the ETJ perspective.
As far as I know, that properties that want to be added to the city limits would qualify for the hotel occupancy tax.
Of course.
makes sense, because if the city is the one who has to be the arbiter of where it gets spent to comply with the law, if you're not in a city. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Starr. Appreciate it.
It says take direction. Do we say, yes, that's a good idea and do that? Then that, you get my vote. I don't know how we need to do this.
Thank you. This is just a project update, so there's no action taken on this item. We move now to item 7B, Ms. Alsabaugh, report and hold discussion, take direction from the council on FY 2027 budget.
Good evening.
Nice to see you.
I'm bringing out the readers, so
Welcome to the club.
I'm still in denial that I need them, but I will be wearing them this evening.
You look good in them.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, I'd like to start the presentation with our latest figures in our operating funds, which, as you know, can change day to day. The budget is very fluid. Our latest general fund numbers reflect projections of 70 days for fiscal year 26 and 69 days for fiscal year 27. On the utility fund side, we project 35 days for fiscal year 26 and 34 days for fiscal year 27. As you know, these days are critically low, and we are continue to look for ways to generate revenue. We review our fees, looking at what we can do to generate revenue to cover our costs. Also, the severe weather we've been experiencing may bring in more water sales, which will increase these days, but we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Now, moving on to budget topics discussed over the past few months, we are bringing back the bags. The sale of bags was discontinued in 2021 with the displeasure of many folks. We are estimating to generate around $26,000 in general fund revenue. This additional revenue has not been built into the fiscal year 27 budget yet. You'll see that reflected on our next draft that gets updated this coming Friday. And for the e-bill incentive, we will be offering a $20 credit for enrolling in paperless billing for a 12-month period. The customers must complete the full 12-month term before their account is credited. Estimated savings to the city will range from $19,000 to $65,000, depending on the customer participation rate. We're estimating this incentive will kick off between April and May of 2027. And feel free to stop me at any time if you have questions.
Can we get the trash bags in gold?
In gold?
Mm.
I personally have missed the trash bags, so. Previously, Public Works presented on an option of assessing stormwater fees on utility bills in order to support maintenance on our drainage and flood control systems. The pictures on the right are from the internet. Those are not the city, thankfully, but these will give you an idea of the costly damages we are trying to prevent by utilizing these fees for our maintenance on our drainage systems. In order to implement these fees, excuse me, a drainage and stormwater fee study is required to assess or fairly assess the fees proportionately to the property's runoff. The study would cost $111,500, and we would be paid from our CIP funds and then reimbursed back to the CIP fund from the fees collected. This evening, staff would like direction from council on if we should move forward with this study or not. Myself and the Public Works Director is here to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments?
Do you have an idea of the average fees in other cities that have implemented?
I personally do not. I don't know if Ronnie does or not.
The fees are based off of impervious surfaces, which means how much open space you have. The more open space you have, the less it is, the more you have that's covered up with concrete. And we talked about this for the industrial. What we're looking for, though, on this first round, just $1 per household per month, $12 a year. And then on the industrial side, we talked about where we're going to do it as the percent of the impervious areas. So that's what, one of the things that Kimley Horn, that was gonna help us do the fee, is gonna help us calculate those, impervious percentages up to rate. Normally, like, a residential home is normally like, $8 to $10. I mean, it's scattered up and down all over the Metroplex. The last few cities I was at, one was like $6 and the other one was like $9 a month. Industry is completely different. It's based off that percentage, and it goes up quite a bit, the more acreage, or if they have more area that's not covered in concrete. There's a lot of products now that you can use that's drivable, drivable surfaces, but it still lets the rainwater go through, and then that would not be counted against you.
Do you have an idea of how long it would take to reimburse the CIP fund?
So in the budget meeting that we had here a few months ago in June, my calculations at that time was if we did the $1 per resident, and then, was it $10 per business? We just did the flat rate. That was around 300,000. And so if you add that to what I already have now, which is I think 265,000 in that drainage, that would a little over double what our revenue would be to help that drainage fund. So it would pay for itself that first year. Unfortunately, we're tied to state law. This fee is just like the impact fee study. We have to do that whole public information and have those meetings and everything like that. So that's why it takes a little more and costs a little bit.
When do you anticipate that you would order the survey? Is it this fiscal year or next?
It would start in October if you give us the okay.
Got it. Thank you.
And you will notice that it does require a public hearing before we implement the fee. As Ronnie said, there's some legal requirements for that. So I don't know if council has any direction on this fee or not, this study.
When I was little, I remember my mother saying that I $5'd her to death by all the things that the school required me to bring $5 to the school for something or other. So I don't necessarily like the idea of us doing a bunch of different fees and just bombarding people with. However, I do like the a la carte service. If you have impacted the community, you should be responsible for the cost of that impact. And so I think this is one that we can support, or I can support, excuse me.
Other comments?
I just think because we have the ability to recoup the cost fairly quickly, it'd be worth spending the money.
If you have any doubt, I would refer to the pictures again. They're not the cities, but I'm sure Ronnie can testify of some of our areas that are being damaged from the drainage that need repairs and we don't have the funding for. So.
I know that compared to the city to the south of us, our water bills are substantially more. I know that they are recently doing a study on their rates as well. I'm kind of with you when it comes to feeding somebody to death, $5 somebody to death. I know we mentioned having the ability to provide a service for our ETJ customers and potentially having a service that's added to allow them to use our residential collection station. And hopefully that can generate some type of funds to be able to do things, like fix stormwater. I think the stormwater fee is necessary. I do feel like our water bills are kind of on the high end right now, and I think that's the part that I'm stuck in. When you have a $110 water bill, and that's a minimum bill for somebody that lives in a 2-bedroom house, and city, like to the south, it's probably more about $75. And so to be at a place where the bill could go up potentially $8 to $10, it just continues to just make it less affordable. But I understand the cost of all of these projects, and it's something that, as the citizens of Denison, I know that there's a lot of struggle to look at that bill and just see it continuously go up, year after year.
You said $1 per month residential household?
And that's the initial, but doing the study, it could potentially go up to about 8 or so. Is that what you said?
Well, doing the study is not gonna, it's gonna be up to us on how much we decide to bill.
Okay.
They're just doing the study and gonna tell us these are our options. It's just like the impact fees. They didn't tell us what we had to charge for the impact fees. They just said, this is the outcome of your study, and we decided what we were gonna charge. So that's the way this is. We could leave it at $1, it could stay there forever.
I think, and this is, I remember, I vaguely remember during the budget meeting, I don't know if it was this, but being able to just kind of just get an idea of like what we think would be beneficial to help with these projects. If we are going to put it at $1, you know, I think that, well, Ronnie, you tell me, what type of, how much do you think that you would need in order to take care of some of these projects like we see in this picture on an annual basis?
Well, to be fair, those are, she made it sound like those were bad. Those aren't bad.
Okay.
I've showed Mayor and I, we went and looked at, we've got a project right now that, actually we got two, that are drainage projects that the Band-Aids are just about done, and the road's gonna either have to be closed or we're gonna have to do something. And there is no money for drainage right now. We have that $260,000 with what we call the 2 men in the truck.
Yeah.
And that money usually is, well, that money that we have there, that 260 is probably, I'd say 80% salaries, and then, which is very little for materials. They have absolutely no equipment. So by doing this, we could get some backhoes and equipment and start doing some of the smaller stuff. The ones that I showed the mayor the other day, we don't have that capability. It would take charging everybody $20 a month to pay for something like that. But with that extra $250,000, we're gonna be able to get a lot of stuff done. I'd say we're probably able to get more than 70% of our stuff that's completed.
And I think to me initially, besides paying $111,000 for a study, if we implement the fee, if it's $1, $2, whatever it is, and just say, hey, this is the drainage stormwater fee, and defer possibly the study unless it's a required mandate by the state. I think that's a mandate. Okay, got you. So the fee has to come after the mandate, or the fee can come before the mandate?
The fee would be after the study.
The study.
And that's why the state does that, is they wanted to make it to where we are required to get public input before we implement something like this and make sure this is what the community wants.
I'm thinking your concern is there are people on a fixed income that $1 means a lot.
It means a lot, and plus I feel like, I should have been a part of this consulting team, so anyway.
Yeah, no.
But,
it's a year, it takes a year to go through that whole process. That's why that's why it is a little higher. I think do you remember what the impact fee was? It was quite a bit more than that.
Is there a process for hardship waiver for any of the fees that we charge our customers?
There hasn't been, but that's a good idea. I know several that would need something like that. Yes, sir.
I mean, I know that some of the churches live within a gray area on our regulations, and so they pay a commercial rate when they may not necessarily be a commercial.
That's not going to be a commercial for churches. I don't think it falls into, I think it's, well, we'll check on that.
Okay. So you would look to have a
absolutely, and you have property tax exemptions for disabled and elderly. I think that, we should have some type of ability to do the same thing, lock in their rates. Hey, this is what you're paying. Okay, you pay this till you leave this earth. So
I agree.
Mr. Bates, we have, similar to some of our aging infrastructure, a lot of these are aging as well. And so we do have some significant concerns in some areas, but I personally think we need to take the study.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item for council that I will need input on is janitorial. At the June workshop, we touched briefly on the idea of bringing janitorial in-house. That would require us to hire a cleaning crew. We still have a few details to work out, such as would that be a staff of 3 or a staff of 4? Would we eliminate the use of all 4 cleaning companies that we currently use, or would we retain one of them for certain areas, such as the jail or the garage? But at a minimum, this would save the city $46,000 annually, and it could possibly save up to $70,000, depending on those factors that we decide on. However, there is an additional bonus that Ronnie brought to my attention that we did not originally consider and is not part of these savings, and that would be the overtime that we can save by having the cleaning staff close up the visitor center passageway and checking the bathrooms. We currently utilize Public Works staff for that, and we pay overtime for them to come and close up that area. So we estimate that could save between 275 to 360 hours of overtime a year. And so this evening, I'd like direction from council if you're interested in us moving forward with bringing janitorial in-house.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's other pros as well, like we feel like we can have more control over the cleaning qualities and priorities within the organization. Right. So. Next item. Just did not format very well on this PowerPoint. Last budget year and this budget year, we have not been able to add needed staffing other than fire and police, and those were only allowable, or we were only able to do that possibly because of the grants. Currently, our biggest staffing need is for 2 dispatchers. Our current dispatchers work a lot of overtime to ensure staff coverage. Chief Gudgel can tell you that they are burned out. They cannot take time off for vacation or training because they will have a shortage of staffing. So ideally, we need 2 positions, but we are requesting 1 position. 1 dispatcher with benefits will cost around $63,000. I have that on the screen. We calculate that will save around $25,000 in overtime cost. So that will be a net budget cost of around $38,000. And that partially can be offset by either the bag sales, or that would be a partial offset, or a full offset if you look at the janitorial savings. But I would like council's input on, adding a dispatcher to our budget for fiscal year 27.
I feel like we need to do that. This has been a need for a while. We've been kind of
multiple years.
Focus on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the savings linear? You add 2, you get the same math?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
That 25,000, how many employees is that stretched out over for that overtime savings?
Let me explain maybe better so you understand. We normally, when I got here, we staffed our dispatch with 2 people. We have 1 shift now that has 3 fully trained communication specialists. We don't have overtime issue there. We have 1 shift that only has 2, which is a night shift, which obviously is a busy shift. If one of those people fall ill or need to take some vacation, or however that works, we have to call in for overtime. We have 2 shifts right now that have trainees on them. They don't count. What we're hoping with this, we've been in this cycle, as I've explained to Laurie. What we're hoping is if we were able to put 3 communication specialists on each, fully trained communication specialist on each shift, our overtime issues go away. Now, there's some other issues with that in reference to retention. It's a highly stressful job. If y'all remember at the budget retreat, this was a big topic for me. It's highly stressful, and they work really hard. But when they're having to go to the bathroom with their headsets on, that causes a problem. When they're not able to take a lunch away from the station, that causes a problem. And so when she talks about the burnout, I get it. I'll be the first one to tell you, I wouldn't want their job. Now, that's not a very good recruitment tool for me, but the bottom line is it's it's a tough job, and they deal with it day in and day out. So I'm very proud of the work that they do now. They're responsible, obviously, for the police department, fire department, and everything else in between, especially on the weekends. So
That was the most illuminating day of the police academy, was the day we got to meet and sit with the dispatchers.
Yes, sir.
And my goodness. So what I'm seeing is that you're asking for one, but you need two.
Oh, I'd love to staff it with 4, myself and Chief Jackson. Well, let's see, if y'all gonna give us some. The best possibility that I see in the future, especially with our growth, is that we have 4. One to take care of police, one to take care of fire and EMS, and then two call takers is what I will call them, but they all would be cross-trained, and should there be an absence. You know, fire department, when they have a big fire, they go to another channel. And so then there's one dispatcher, if we have them in there juggling everything. So ultimately, it'd be great to have 4. If I can get 3 and retain those individuals, I think that we can see a big difference in our overtime spending, and you all have seen that. And not too distant future.
So is that, when you use the term 3, does that mean you need 1 person or 2 person to get to 3?
We're asking for 1.
I know, but
and that would be able to put 3 on each shift, and then depending on our growth and things, how things go in the future, we could add, hopefully.
in the absence of a fully staffed, that increases our response time.
I would say so, yes.
And increased response time has lethality as its most negative consequence. Okay.
It's a safety issue, not only for our public, but for our officers and our firefighters.
I'd rather have 2 than 1.
Right.
I mean, based on the savings from the janitorial and the bags, I believe we could build 2 into the budget. Of course, I can work the numbers, and of course, I would make sure before I, plug that in there that that would be feasible if that's the direction council wants to go.
Because if your net cost is just 76,000 for 2, I mean, that's more than worth it in what you're getting in output.
Right.
So if we did 2, that would put 4 on one shift, 3 on one shift. Does that, since it's not even, does that make it weird?
Does that make it odd for,
Yeah,
it's not
I
even?
don't know
We
why
can
it's
convince
weird.
the individual we hire to do a rotation, or be able to float. That would be best. That way, literal overtime would go away. I mean, you're always going to have some of those things happening, but it would really make a huge difference. But again, understand we'd have to hire and train and keep. That's the big one. Keep them here.
I'm just imagining we have an ice storm again, which they're forecasting some pretty nasty ice this coming winter, that we've got calls coming in all the time, and
Yes, sir.
with people with no power. And we've got a lot of citizens in our community that don't survive very long in that situation when it's 15 degrees outside.
Yes, sir.
So I stand on 2.
Yeah.
I'd invite any of you to come down and sit down with them. It's pretty amazing the things that they do and how they juggle, and then the stress factor when they get those high stress calls.
I think, Laura, you can run what it would cost to have 2, and that way we can look at the numbers and just see if it is like exactly double this, or if there's some other nuances.
And like I mentioned earlier, the budget is fluid, the numbers change daily. If things continue as they are now and nothing else comes up, that's an absolute need that we need to build in the budget. I feel comfortable that we can add 2 positions, but I always just like to have that in the back of my mind, or have in your mind that there's a possibility that we can't support 2. On the COPS grant, I just wanted to give you an update on the 2026 COP grant opportunity. We did go ahead and submit the application to the Department of Justice on July 28th. If awarded, council can choose to accept or decline the grant at that time. I don't have a time frame on the award, but when it's awarded, we can revisit and look at where we're at performance-wise, and then council can make that decision at that time. I just did not want to miss the opportunity to get the application in, with while we're still determining if we can move forward with additional positions. You know, at some point, we will need to hire additional officers to help support the Northwest development. So this would be a good opportunity to help with that staffing and get them trained up and ready for that. So again, we'll wait and see if we receive the award first. I mean, we may not, and then this won't be a discussion we will have, but I will present it to council at the time when we find out.
Have you run numbers? You know, because it costs 75% for year 1 and 2. Have you run the number, like future projected numbers, how this is going to affect?
Well, on year 4 is when the city will be 100% funding that position. So,
right, but we still have to pay first year 1 and 2. We have to pay 25%.
Correct.
And then 75%. So, what I don't want to get to is a jam where we get the grant, then we crunch the numbers and say, oh, this is not going to work number-wise for us. This is going to really put stress on the city, and then we're caught in a jam.
Right. Projections, yes, we do look at projected revenues. I don't know the exact year, dates keep changing, but we're anticipating in 2028 tax revenue from Preston Harbor will start coming in and helping to offset that cost.
Do I understand line 3 that we may have the option, if the grant is approved, to postpone the hiring to 2028 and yet still comply with the grant offer?
Yes, we can't confirm that just yet, but we have had that that opportunity with the past grant where we were able to push that out a year. So we believe that will be the same offer that we'll have this time. And then we'll know, like I said, once we're awarded, get a few months down the road, we'll know how we are performing. Usually, even with the award, you have up to, I believe, a year to determine when you're going to hire that staff, that period. So, I mean, we still have some time, but for now, I wanted to go ahead and get that application in so we didn't miss the deadline.
Sorry, there's a young man who keeps trying to get the front door.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Chief.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Chief. So this is just a notification?
Yes, to let you know that we did submit the application, and I will come back before council if awarded to give you more information. Health insurance cost, to give you an update on that. We do not have our new rates yet, but we were given a heads up that our rates will be increasing significantly. So in order to maintain a zero-cost coverage to our employees, we did increase our health care contribution budget from $610 per employee to $650 per employee. The total increase to the budget is roughly $185,000. And this increase was feasible due to an accumulated balance in our employee benefits trust account. So each year, if there's savings in health insurance costs from turnover in staff, that money stays in that employee benefits trust account. It earns interest, it grows, and that's the purpose of that fund. So we did have enough money in there to cover this increase in our employee contributions. It will leave still about another $100,000 in the fund that we can look to utilize for next budget year. On recycling elimination, our plan to do with recycling, in order to save around $92,000 annually, this will need to be pushed down the road. It seems that we are under contract obligation until spring of 2026. So we will revisit this next year when planning the new budget.
You said
26?
20.
Oh, sorry,
27.
Yeah, 28, sorry.
28.
Yes, yeah, thank you. And then I wanted to remind council that we update and adopt our new fee schedule every year. So this week, we will be sending out a fiscal year 27 draft, and also we'll send a summary of just what has changed. And so please review, ask questions. We will be bringing that before you for adoption on September 21st. And then lastly, I want to talk about a few of our main special revenue funds. First, we have our general interest and sinking fund, which is a reserve account to pay our general obligation payments. Just to kind of walk you through it a little bit, if you look at the fiscal year 20 or the 2027 column, you'll see that we have $1.5 billion in tax revenue obligations and $3.1 million that is self-supporting. The tax-supported obligations are things like when we did the construction of Station 3, the THF park improvements, when we did the remodel of the City Hall. The self-supporting debt are things like the D3 streetscape, which is funded from the TERS money, and the visitor center, which is funded through hot tax. So just to differentiate between those two of tax-backed revenue, COs versus self-supporting. Just want to give you that. And here is the utility fund interest and sinking. Looking at fiscal year 27 under revenue, we have $15.4 million that is transferred from our utility operating fund into the INS fund to cover those payments. That is roughly 53% of our operating revenue. We also have debt that is supported by impact fees and TERS funds, which would be equivalent to the self-supporting debt. We also utilize interest earnings on the proceeds from the CIP fund to help pay down this debt as well. This fund, you will notice, has a reserve. It does require a large reserve of $2 to $3 million currently to ensure that we have sufficient funds for cash flow, because most of our payments become due in March, so we have to have a balance in there to be able to make those payments until we can transfer the April through September funds from the operating fund. And our street impact fee fund is currently around $195,000. It's hard to see, it's at the bottom of the screen there. We're anticipated to end fiscal year 27 around $270,000. Our utility impact fee is currently around $476,000 and anticipated to be $192,000 at fiscal year 27 end. If you look in at the rows in the middle, the $600,000, $600,000, and $750,000, those are the impact fee amounts that we are transferring to the INS fund to help make those payments on our debt. And you can tie those out a couple of slides before, you'll see that as revenue coming into those INS funds. And our street improvement fund, it's projected to end 27 around $828,000. This fund does gain around $1.4 million annually in revenue and from transfers and interest. The largest expense out of this fund is, of course, our street overlay programs and also the TxDOT reserve of $3 million that we're trying to build up, and we're currently at $2 million on that. And we need the $3 million by 2029. And the TASWA fund, we fund, in fiscal year 27, we're funding 3 types of expenses: refuse and street equipment, transfer to the general fund for refuse operations. A lot of people don't realize this, but our refuse division, it's our 4th largest division in our general fund budget of $3.4 million. And we also budget for new refuse carts annually as they wear out, need replacement, or as we have new homes and need additional carts. We anticipate ending fiscal year 27 at $834,000. And if you hang in there, we got just 3 more slides. So our utility bond fund is where we track our CIP expenses and projects. Due to the number of projects we have, it's not possible to list them individually. So they are kind of grouped in classifications, but Public Works can provide that detailed list. That makes it that total for the year in expenditures, if you need to see that. And then our hotel occupancy
Can you go
tax.
back one slide?
Sure.
Thank you.
Our hotel occupancy tax fund, which funds our tourism division and our visitor center construction loan. As you know, hotel taxes have dropped this year. unexpectedly, which we believe is due to the renovation of 2 of our hotels in our area, Motel 6 and Holiday Inn. My understanding is that those renovations are nearing completion, so we should start seeing that revenue pick back up.
That doesn't take into account your, the discussion we had earlier about short-term rental additional revenues.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
Right.
So that would be in addition. And then our Parks and Recreation Fund, this fund holds our optional fees that are billed on our utility bills, the general park maintenance, aquatics, and Waterloo Park maintenance. This fund also houses other park-related programs, such as the Denison on Ice and our future Loy Lake Holiday Lights program. We're trying to set aside $15,000 a year in reserves. You'll see that down in the expense to build up some funds for when we take that over.
So in 2025, we earned $5,000 on Denison on Ice, but we're projecting this year to have $130,000 in revenue?
Yes.
I need to know that business model.
Well, let me see. Originally this, let me clarify. I was looking at the year 26 and 27. The reason that shows 5,000 is because previously this project was housed in a different fund, our special events fund. So in 2026 is when we moved that over to the Parks and Recreation Fund, where it just seemed more suitable to be under Parks and Recreation.
So that's not subjective, that's past experience, expecting future, okay.
Yes. But it's roughly 130,000 even in 2025. It's pretty much maintained that level. I also want to point out that the participation rates on those optional fees has declined percentage-wise over the last couple of years. That's just something we monitor. You can see it reflected in the revenue as it decreases each year. So we have to be mindful of that when we budget for projects out of this fund, that the revenue's decreasing, not increasing. So just something to keep in mind.
And our general park expenses jumped $300,000, and then they're going to jump back $300,000?
It depends on the, are you talking about the expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
It depends on the projects that are presented for adoption.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me what the $388,000 covered, but we do have a breakdown of those projects I can provide to show you the difference.
It just stands out as an anomaly that we've got a big jump and then a big drop. And
Right.
I'm sure
Well, it just
Robert can
depends
tell
on the
you
needs.
Any
We may
business
have,
plan that goes up and to the right all the time is a little bit dangerous to believe.
yes. And it just depends on the projects. If we have a big need, some major repair that's cost $388,000 this year, we move forward with that. Obviously, for 27, the need was less. And a lot of those projects are based on what the cash balance is for that particular fee as well, if we can afford the project.
I seem to remember we had a pool that we had to do something about.
Yeah. Building too.
Thank you.
And then, I know that was a lot for both you and me, but I'm here and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? If not, Ms. Alsbaugh, thank you very much.
Okay.
Another great job, and thank you very much for your patience with us as we go through this.
Okay, and I'll be back at the next meeting with the final
We'll see you
budget for
again soon,
adoption.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that is the completion of the regular agenda. We will have an executive session tonight. That's agenda item number 8. We will consult with attorney on matters in which the attorney's duty to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules or professional conduct conflicts with this chapter, and/or consult with attorney about pending or contemplating litigation and contemplated settlement on the same, section 551.071. Item 1, confer with city attorney regarding Robert Lee Clark and Julie Clark versus City of Denison et al., United States District Courts, Eastern District of Texas, at Sherman, case number 4.25-CB-01072. Item 2, confer with attorney regarding Derek Dunlap versus Tyler Buchanan, civil action number 423-CB-1135-SDJ, United States District Court for Eastern District of Texas and Sherman Division. Item 3, city manager search. Item 4, property standards and Chapter 54 procedure policies. And then item D, discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment of duties, discipline, or dismissal of, or to hear a complaint against a public officer or employee, section 551.074. Again, this is city manager search. The time is 7:34, and the council will adjourn to executive session. 8:49, we'll reconvene city council meeting. Report to you that on the executive session, items A, 1, 2, 3, and 4, no action taken, and item D, item 1, no action taken. So it's still 8:49, and we'll adjourn this meeting until next time. Thank you. Thank you to our staff, to our great staff.
All
Thank
right.
you very much for